Giulia, seguimi. Adesso passiamo all'ultimo talk che sarà tenuto in lingua inglese. Quindi gli spettatori da casa continueranno ad ascoltarci nella lingua che parleremo, quindi passeremo all'inglese. E mentre chi è con noi nella stanza di Zoom e non è confidente con la lingua inglese può spostarsi nella room, nella sottostanza, dove sarà possibile ascoltare la traduzione in italiano. Mentre per tutti gli altri potete rimanere in questa stanza. Se non siete a proprio agio con l'inglese, ma volete comunque fare una domanda, la potete fare in italiano in chat e noi la traduciamo per voi. Insomma, vi daremo una mano a superare questa eventuale difficoltà. Perciò adesso ringraziamo Giulia che ci ha ispirato con il primo talk e passiamo appunto al prossimo intervento. Quindi passiamo alla lingua inglese e diamo il benvenuto ad uno dei ragazzi del Global Youth Biodiversity Network. Piccolo cappello introduttivo e poi cambiamo lingua. Oliver insieme a Giulia si occupa appunto, è un volontario di Giben ed è coordinatore del gruppo europeo. Oggi ci parlerà dei giovani all'interno delle Nazioni Unite, una vera e propria forza per la biodiversità. Quindi spero che possiate appunto seguirci. Adesso ufficialmente passiamo all'inglese. So, let me reframe the language and we move on with the next guest of our festival. Here on the stage, we welcome Oliwer Schultz, coordinator of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network Europe. Oliver, if you can hear us and see us, you can turn on your video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, I think now I can start my video. Yes, great.
Yes,
hello.
Yes. Hello, how are you?
I am good. How are you guys? You seem to have a lot of interesting things to talk about, but now it's my turn.
I hope you find out the way to follow us also in English.
Yes. It was interesting to hear Italian, but then I found the English part, so then I also understood, so that was good.
Awesome. Oliver, as I told in Italian a few seconds ago, your talk title is Youth in the United Nations, a Force for Biodiversity. So without wasting another time for you, I will leave you with 15 minutes for the talk. Please enjoy it, have fun, and we will be for sure inspired by you. So the stage is yours.
Great, thank you. I will now try to share before I begin.
Yes, we can see it.
Let's see. Can you see a presentation perhaps?
Yeah, you should pass to the presentation mode.
Yes, if I can. Just a minute.
Yes. Don't worry, these are the...
Sorry about that.
Don't worry, it's so common to find this technical problem online. We are able to...
Oh, yes. It is always included, yes.
Exactly. Give it time. Computers are usually slow. Yeah, we are going.
I think the computer is more nervous than I am this time.
In the meantime, Oliver, can you tell us where are you now, just for curiosity?
Oh, yes, I am actually kind of north of you guys, almost as north as you can. I am in Sweden, in the middle part of Sweden, but I think that is still north for you guys.
Yes,
not for me, but yes.
Okay.
So fine. South of Stockholm. But now I'm ready. So here we go. Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. And what a wonderful thing to be part of your biodiversity festival. And now welcome to my bit, as it's called. My name is, as I've said, Oliver, and I'm a student at Linköping University in Sweden. And I'm studying ecology and sustainable development. And I'm here today to talk about a great way for youth to be part of a real action towards helping our global, regional, and local biodiversity through the Global Youth Biodiversity Network, and specifically the subchapter called Global Youth Biodiversity Network Europe, or for short, Gibbon Europe. I will now say that because it's easier to say. The Convention of Biological Diversity is the biggest legal instrument in the United Nations regarding biodiversity, with 196 countries ratifying it as of yet. The Gibbon, or the Global Youth Biodiversity Network, are the official youth representation in this. We are working together with these nations to create a global biodiversity framework for these countries to use now and for the future. Gibbon Europe is the regional chapter of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network here in Europe. And you can all, sorry, let's take away that sound. Here we go. Here you can see an inclusive map showing where we are at the moment, but we are always expanding. And in the middle, you can see the turquoise Gibbon Europe, which also has a subchapter in the north, which I'm also part of, the Gibbon Nordics. You can always be a global part in this, but you can also be regional and even national. So there is, for example, Gibbon Brazil, and also Gibbon Morocco, and Gibbon Canada. So perhaps there will be a Gibbon Italy after this presentation. Our vision is for Gibbon Europe to facilitate, change, and advocate for a society in which accountable sustainability, environmental justice, and social justice are at the core. One where intergenerational, that is every kind of age and person, have equity and is applied throughout all sectors and regional levels with transparently. And one where humans and nature coexist and thrive as one resilient, accessible, and interconnected system. We are not two different things, but one big part of the universe. Our mission is to empower, unite, and advocate for and with youth to be involved in activities and decision-making processes that promote living in harmony with nature, from a local to an international level. And for us specifically, that is across Europe. Our core values are environmental and societal justice, where we are the parts where we are mostly working, inclusiveness and diversity, of course, the spirit of collaboration, sustainability and resilience, evidence and knowledge-based pro-action. Whoops. What we do then? Well, we empower youth participation in biodiversity decision-making, for example, on the UN level. We support a united youth movement for biodiversity throughout Europe and other parts of the world. We act on all levels, from local to international, and we enable a paradigm and power shift in society. We also advocate for a future where we can live in harmony with nature, within nature even. As of yet, or at this moment, these are our coordinators in the Europe chapter. We have Jessica, Esmeralda, Axel, Paulina, Deborah, and of course me. The flags represents where they are from, and as you can see, some of them have more flags, and that is because they have been living or studying or working in different parts of the world. But at the moment, we are the coordinators of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network in Europe. And you can always send us an email at this email if you want to contact us. In the beginning, for specifically the chapter of Europe, we started in 2019 by doing our first capacity building workshop in the Vinesse forest. Then we launched Gibbon's social medias on Earth Day specifically. And then on May the same year, our first project was take part in the Biodiversity Week of Action with several events. Then in August to November, we were building up our team and supporting campaigns such as those you can see on the screen, but also doing a youth consultation survey. And in October, we launched our first sub-regional chapter, the Nordic Youth Biodiversity Network. And that's where I personally joined the fray. In the last 2 years, the pandemic has, of course, been here, but we are still going strong. And in August, we were part of the UN negotiations in regards to the Global Biodiversity Framework, which I said in the beginning, which is the kind of document 196 countries will use in order to preserve and restore biodiversity. And it was digitally in 2021 because COVID. But then finally in March of 2022, we went to Geneva in Switzerland when a third discussion meeting was held. And there we made some progress as youth. The Nordic chapter got closer to the Nordic delegations, that is the country representatives. By having this event, you can see in the picture, talking about youth inclusion, biodiversity, and everything in between. Then we also had a meeting with the EU delegation, which is 27 countries all across Europe, listening to us for almost 2 hours in our opinions and our suggestions on what to do in order to help biodiversity and find harmony with nature. And eventually, in the end of that meeting, those 2 weeks of discussion meeting, we actually got many requests from these EU nations to listen to our opinions and suggestions regarding the framework, which is going to be done pretty soon. But we're not done yet. It took a while to have the discussions. It is, of course, 196 different countries that you need to discuss with. So there will be one more discussion meeting in Nairobi, Kenya, in June, which is pretty soon. Some of us will be there, but most of us will be digitally and try to work with it in that way. But then in August, September, we will meet in China, in the city of Kunming, where the actual finalization of the framework will happen. And it's called COP15. You might know about COP26, which is the climate conference when the nations of the world are discussing how to do with the climate. This is the same, but regarding biodiversity. And then in the future, who knows what will happen? How can you get involved in Given in any way in Europe or in other places? You can sign up on our website or even read more about us there. And there is no experience or background knowledge needed. You can be a scientist, you can be someone who just learned what biodiversity is, you can be anyone, as long as you want to help to find harmony with nature. You can also follow us on social media. We have all sorts of things, but you can always find us by searching for Given Europe on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And this was actually my presentation. I hope you had an insightful moment, and now I'm ready for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oliver. A wonderful presentation, I would say. Thank you for bringing on our stage the important contribution of your network of Given, because it's really, as we saw, it's really impressive and important. Also because I didn't realize that you started in 2019, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It was the beginning here in Europe. Yes, it was starting there and has steadily building up to even bigger things.
Yes, it's impressive. In so few years, the movement has grown a lot. It's really impressive. Awesome to hear. And yeah, we now move on with the questions and answers session. So please, everybody here in the room can open the camera to show itself and to engage in the discussion. Please, also from home, you can type down your impressions, your comments on Facebook, and we can read them. And also, if you are not comfortable with the English, sorry guys, I will change for a few seconds the languages. Se non siete molto confidenti con l'inglese, non vi preoccupate, scrivete in italiano, noi tradurremo per voi in modo che possiamo appunto tutti quanti comprenderci. E tra l'altro, per tutti i curiosi sulle attività di Given, trovate adesso nel nostro Linktree, che adesso faremo anche girare nelle nostre chat, la pagina di Given, dove potete trovare maggiori informazioni, curiosità e le loro attività attuali, di cui andiamo a parlare in un secondo. So, thank you. Sorry for this, but we have to, explain
No
everything.
worries. Yeah.
So I was saying that right now on our link tree is available the link for your web page, where people can find more information also on the ongoing campaigns. But before going on that topic, I see that we have a question from our physical room. So Stefano, I will leave the stage for you.
Yes, the question is mine, and it's a really simple and a quick question because I'm ready to go. The last train is about to go within 20 minutes, so yeah, I have to worry. But thanks, Oliver, first of all, for your intervention. It was really interesting and inspiring, as we said for the BIT before. And I had a question about the enrollment, about biodiversity youth, about the association. So are there any particular requirements for be part of it and be part of the associations, for example, a particular degree to have, or is free and accessible to all the people, all the younger people?
Good question, and you actually almost answered it in the last comment. The youth, like the only thing you need to be is youth. We are defining that, I think, by being between 18 and 35, so it's kind of big spectrum. And that's the only thing. Yeah, like you can be. I think I said it's fast some parts ago. Like you maybe Googled biodiversity yesterday, or you're a professor in biology already. If you're anywhere in between, that is totally fine, as long as you see our vision and mission as interesting and you want to help in order to find harmony in nature. You're more than welcome to join. And you can both be active and a passive member by only following us and read more about us and attend our events and such. But you can also be active and start projects and everything in regards to what we are doing, because many opportunities are connected to us, since we have many other associations connected to us. So even though you and that's maybe more connected to those who are actually studying something in biology or environmentalism or sustainability, that we have opportunities for people who want to work with that. But of course, if you only love it and have it as a hobby, or you're starting to learn, that is also a welcome site for us at Given.
Thank you so much. I'll be trying to age well, so for the future.
Also, because as I mentioned many times with our discussion before this live, we really hope to be able to start the Italian chapter in the future. So if someone is listening and is interested, please reach us or reach them. And also, I would like to really suggest the open consultation that Given do sometimes, because I know that through that consultations, you can collect the ideas of youth and present the roadmaps. And I know that you already have a roadmap right now to present on COP15, right?
Exactly. There are many who are part in specific working groups or policy-making groups that are actually doing a lot of research and work together to find our statements and opinions and suggestions for what we should go, the actual roadmap, as we say, to find harmony with nature. And yeah, now when we also have a true connection with with different nations of Europe, which is actually necessary in order to pass things that we want to do in that global framework. It's really adding up now. And the roadmap, you can always read more at our website. I didn't include it here because it's kind of long. So it's better to look at it when you have time. Yeah.
If you want, we can just highlight here the priorities that the youth movement has highlighted in a way, if you want.
Sure, I can put on some. Some points, yeah. Of course, we are working a lot with inclusion for youth. Like we should be part of the discussion, the actual decision making, and also the result and application of what we have decided. So we are a part of every step, like step 0 to step 100. We're always there and will be a part of it. For example, every nation has their own national version of the framework, like what they actually want to do more concretely, because every nation, of course, have different environments and different levels of crisis, so to speak, in different ways, regards to water and forests and you name it. So we use those national parts called NBSPs, I think, and that we are acting there to making specifically in Europe that there should be at least one or several youths included in the discussion because they are now working on new national documents, since they need to redo them every second year, and we will want, of course, to make it like really, you really need to have it will be how we say in English. It will be like just as picking anyone, you should always have a youth included. Or at least a station of them, instead of talking about them. For example, here in Sweden, the national report says only mention youth once, and then they say the youth need to be in outside more often. That's the only part at the moment, and that it's of course not enough, and so on. So that is one thing, and of course we also talk about local communities and indigenous people, because they are a huge. Percent-wise, they are the biggest group working and sustaining those biodiversity areas we still have. So they should have much more to say, much more, just like youth need to be more part of the decision making, they should be, of course, be that too, and almost be the one leading us to find the right way, since they, of course, has the best knowledge, or that knowledge which we don't have, at least, in order to find harmony with nature. So that is 2 of the big ones.
And for the others, people, you can check the website of Given to discover the others' youth priorities. But yes, for sure, inclusion, intergenerational exchange, and equity are very, very important. And thank you for the answer. And I will now pass the ball to David that want to ask something. So please.
So thank you to Oliver, Julia, and Giacomo for their inspiring talks. And all of you kind of spoke about the importance of inspiration, as also this event is all about. And I was thinking about when I was speaking with other people from other universities across Europe. There are cases in which university makes a voluntary job or a voluntary experience as a part of mandatory as part of the university. Whereas here in Italy, it's way more technical, and we have the job and working experience as internship. So do you think that having such an experience as mandatory could be a sort of way to inspire the new generation to be more involved in those kind of important topics we're talking about?
Really good question, and interesting and fun, great that you are having discussions with several universities across Europe. That is really good to find common issues and also common solutions. But yes, I totally agree with what you're saying, that maybe not forcefully mandatory, but of course, one of the other big points we are discussing and having in our statements in Given is transformative education, which is a concept which is sometimes hard to grasp, but basically that is to create or develop our education to be more like, for example, the example you gave now, that we should have inclusive and active work connected to environmental practical work or voluntary work, also societal part, of course, and also, of course, the connections and the mixture of both, like, of course, social issues and environmental issues are always connected and such. So yes, that is one of the points we are also working at. And I can also, by experience, like, for example, my universities do some of that with, of course, the the educations or programs which are connected to environment are doing practical and voluntary work, and also they can search and do it themselves through their program. But I think that is something that should be developed and more easily for people to do outside of the program, or also just shorter or easier in every way, so it actually can be possible. But given in general, not just my personal thoughts, is that we try to make it even in the lower grades, or the not university level, but mid school, and how we say in every country have their own way of talking about the mandatory school. But even there, or especially there, try to connect, like do sustainability as a proper subject instead of just mention it here and there, and actually try to make it possible to even in that level be more practical and voluntarily connected to social, environmental, and sustainability issues in general. I hope that answered your question. It was a broad answer, but thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Can I add something, Mattia? Do we have time?
Sure, the stage is yours.
Yeah, so I'm also going to speak in English so that we keep this flow. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of like doing anything in a mandatory way, but I do believe that it should be like volunteering work should be more appreciated and valued by universities and mainstream too in some cases. Personally, I did my bachelor in Italy, and in my case, it was possible to substitute a volunteering opportunity with a volunteering project with the mandatory internship that you have in your degree. So personally, my 6 weeks in Kazakhstan, where eventually I could use them as well as like an alternative to my internship. So if anyone is listening to these and of course studies in Italy, you might check with your university or your course supervisor if this is possible, because I asked, and even though it wasn't planned, I got a positive reply. So this could also be an idea.
Thank you guys for the reply. And so it's really important that we talked about the educational side, right? As you were saying, the educational transformation, and it's really important, and it's probably something that we should focus more in the following times. And here now, I have a question for all of our guests, and that is something that came up in my mind during the Giulia talk, because she said many times, I don't want to make a talk where I talk just about myself, right? I'm here to talk a story. And she also shared with us the fact that at the beginning, she wasn't really engaged in the environmental topic, let's say, right? But at a certain point, she found out herself inside the big international dialogues. So at a certain point of your life, Giulia, you were, let me say in this way, at the center, right, of the situation. And this is my question for you, panelists. Do you feel like you are in the center of this battle, let's say, or the feeling is another one and there is no center? I don't know. Do you feel yourself as in the center? I don't know if that's a tricky question, guys.
I could jump in, but not maybe on a personal level, but at least at the given level.
Yeah.
Like we are not in the center, but we are definitely part of the battle, so to speak. Since this transformative education, as we have been calling it, is something that many institutions, governments, and politicians in general don't really grasp. They don't see why that is something that is not already there. They just say, oh, but we do talk about the environment and social issues and such enough already, or at least they are fine with what we have, and so on. So we have difficulties trying to go ahead or past the actual definition of that word. So we try to redo it and talk in smaller sessions in order for them to grasp bits of it at least. So I would definitely say that it is one of a part of the solution in order to find a harmony with nature for the next generation. Just pointing that out too, because it will take a while for this to be something in the educational system, which will be part of the generation which maybe don't really have that any time left, because we are sort of the last generation who really can make this ship go the right way, so to speak. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but it's also interesting when they actually grasp and find that, oh, this is actually something that we could work on. For example, which we actually got some of that when we were meeting up with the EU nations at Geneva. So yes, a battle, but we're not in the middle. That's my answer.
Thank you. Julia, do you want to move on? And then Giacomo, of course, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't feel to be in the center of anything, because I don't think there is like also an actual center. If it was, then we would have, all these decisions straight away, because there is only like a center where everything is happened. But I feel more in between this tug of war of like the different strings pulling on in opposite directions. But I do feel that and also one of the things we advocate in youth organizations is about youth involvement and meaningful engagement in decision making. So this means that we are not quite yet there. But I do feel like I'm having a still kind of influence within this sphere I'm around, especially as I was mentioning before. They get to meet with European commissioners and like negotiate with them the position that we want in the laws we're gonna make. So contextually, like in the microcosmos, we happen to be at the center of many things. But I mean, if we were already there in the center, we wouldn't be here trying to advocate for it. So that's it.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you for the question, for the answer. Giacomo, if you want to add something.
Sure. I almost feel like so I am very much in the center of my community and what I do through 7Cs, just because it is this free resource that goes beyond borders, that goes in all these different countries. Just the frustrating part is I wish I was more of the center. And unfortunately, most of you probably already know that when it comes down to environmental protection and education and everything, resources and funding is never sufficient. And if I just was able to throw more money at my organization, I could, multiply that impact by 2 or 3 times. And I could do so much more work if we actually had those resources. So it is frustrating sometimes that also, I do less and less environmental work and more fundraising, because that's just the most important thing that we can do right now. So I am very much, I didn't really answer your question, but I am very much, I guess, in the center of what I'm doing and of my community. However, I wish I was a larger part of that, just because so much more could be accomplished if we just had the resources.
Thank you. Thank you, guys, because these were the answers I was looking for. Of course, I didn't expect it from you that you replied, yes, I'm in the center. I am the guy who will save the world, because we are seeing it through our festival, but also from my personal experience, I would say that people are, as Julia said very, very correctly, personally, we should be on the center. We should think ourselves at the center, but we are not in the center. And as Oliver said, we are in a field, in a context where different and multiple actors are also present. And maybe, yes, we are someone like Giacomo, that is the guy that bring everybody together and is somehow in the center, but probably in the end, we do not need to be the center of everything to have an impact. This was my last point where I wanted to lead you. Ecco. And thank you. Thank you for your stories and for have been here sharing those stories. And I don't know, we are running out of time, but I would like to stay here to talk with you for like hours. So we have to find a deal. But let me see if I can ask you something to conclude, or if we have some input from the audience, but I don't see any further input. I don't know if you want to conclude, guys, with something, or sorry, if from the physical room of Fogli there is someone. Yes, because I saw.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask something to Oliver. You talked also about the you. So how did you connect with the you? So how did you, I don't know, spread your voice around the EU and the European Commission? It was easy? It was a lobbying thing, or how did you connect with the EU? This was my question. Thanks.
Yes, good question, really good question, and many I think want the answer of that. But we actually, there were many people in Gibbon, actors and active members and passive members and everyone doing different things. There were events that were directing their focus towards the EU, or sorry, the EU. Yeah, that's correct. And discussion sessions, and even some of the former coordinators before me actually arranged a meeting before this big meeting in Geneva just to talk with the EU delegation. And sadly, they didn't even show up. So there are many even small battles in that, like trying to find people try to connect to their nation's part in the EU. Like there were some German members in Gibbon trying to reach out to their German delegation, and here in Sweden we try to do it as well. And some people actually have youth representation in other issues, especially climate, and we tried to, through them, find the right people, write emails, write WhatsApp even, and even the right physical areas to be, so we could mingle, talk, discuss, and share information in order to have discussion later on. And after many attempts, and actually our side event with the Nordic chapter doing our events really raised the issue in the Danish delegation, as well as some part of the Swedish delegation, and they then helped us to make it so that it worked for us to talk to the right people, and eventually even the EU delegation as a whole reached back to us in order to have a sort of meeting with us. So I don't have a clear answer, but really keep on doing it in many ways with different people, different environments. Keep on working is like the main thing we did. And eventually we got on a meeting and it was actually incredible, because they never go over their time. They never do that, either if it's internal issues or some other guests going to the EU, their own meeting room, which they have with the 27 countries. And they gave us information that it was supposed to be 1 hour, and they rearranged the time several times. So we were really like literally standing outside the room in order to not miss our chance. But then when we eventually sat there and talked and presented everything we could, they wanted to listen more and added questions. So we almost doubled our time with them, which itself is really incredible, that they really wanted to listen. So dedication and keep on working is like really what you need to do in order to reach something. So that is what you need to do, especially if you want to talk to the EU or other bigger institutions.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know if you, Julia, want to add something to the question.
Yes, I mean, at Generation Climate Europe specifically, we work every day trying to get in contact with members of the European Parliament and commissioners. And I mean, we also noticed that at some point they also ask us for inputs. So that's definitely great. Of course, I mean, the European Union is a very, like the Parliament, for example, there is a lot of politics going on there. So of course you need to adapt to what's going on and who you're speaking to. There are many channels to do lobbying with, but being part of an organization, it's really useful in this case because it gives you credibility and visibility. So Generation Climate Europe, for example, is part of the EU Biodiversity Platform in the European Union. So basically every 3 months or so, we go there with every European stakeholders and the European Commission and discuss together about the upcoming biodiversity laws. So it's really important to end up in those places. And then, I mean, if they listen to us, then that's a whole other story. But at least being there is already a very important step.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, again, I would like to stay here for hours talking with you. Maybe we can also organize something else in the future, because I think that we are opening a door, let's say, and let's try to conclude, right? To go further towards the conclusion of our day. If you have a final message for our audience, a final message of hope, if we can say so, because you are very experienced. I mean, you are seeing also what's going on at different levels of our society, we can say. And so if you have a final message, preferably of hope for our audience, and then we can say goodbye. Yeah, who want to start?
Just very quickly. Yeah. So I started my career in biodiversity conservation very, very early. So all of my mentors were much older than me. And I know for many people, it's been very, very difficult to have a full career dedicating your life to saving certain ecosystems or species, and then having that slowly slip away, or having funding slowly be taken away. And the inspiring thing that I have to say is all of the people that I know who are now my old mentors, who are in their 70s and some of them in their 80s, they never, ever gave up hope. They even said, even if we've lost the war, there's still battles to be won. And they always said that you can always change people. There's always hope for the new generation. And you just always keep lines of communications open and to build more bridges and not walls.
I really liked these last words. Right, Oliver. Yeah, and this also connects with the words of Julia before, that I now recall to our mind, that probably when we as new generations have the knowledge. So once we reach the knowledge and we understand the situation, how can we not do nothing? I mean, this is the emotion that we should experience, and then take action at different levels in different ways. We saw today many different ways to express ourselves. So thank you, Giacomo. Thank you. The next. Oliver.
I could jump in now. Really good inspirational comment already, but I can add that I read something really good some days ago that regarding sustainability, like every sustainable project or event or happening, is the best one is the one that actually happens. So whatever it is, something that is on a global level, European level, Italian level, even in your household, maybe that you do something for a lizard that you found on the floor, and everything you do is positive and on the right way. So you don't need to feel like, oh, I should really go on to those 2 events. So I should really do that internship in order to save that species now. But instead focus on what you can do, what you want to do, but do it in a sustainable way for yourself as well.
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you so much. Julia, I will leave the stage for you now.
Yes, so something that I wished someone had told me some years ago is that don't really underestimate how much you can do just sitting in front of a computer. This festival is probably the leading proof of this, but you can do just so much of activism and volunteering just by engaging online And even if you don't see like an actual ecosystem being restored because of you, you will help reaching that point. And so don't be scared of the fact that you don't see the impact in front of you. And just by connecting with other young people, like it's like it's an exponential thing. So you will be empowered and empowered so many people around you. And as I said, you never know who is gonna who are you gonna hit with it. So just consider about online volunteering. That's, I guess, it's the
we can apply this for many different contexts. So thank you. Really, thank you guys, because I think that we are ready now to, as me and the audience of the festival, of course, we are now ready to move on and to approach the 22 of May, that next week will be the Biodiversity Day. And we are really, really pushing that day because we know the importance now of biodiversity and also what we as individuals can do. So thank you for being with us today. It has been really, really great. And I'm really, really happy to have had you here with me and with the festival. So thank you. And I wish to meet you again in the future, right? So thank you guys, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great.
Okay. A lot of hearts and feelings, positive vibes. This is what we wanted. But now we change the language again. So andiamo all'italiano, torniamo all'italiano. Cari telespettatori da casa, come mi piace definirci, la puntata è quasi giunta verso la conclusione, ma non ancora. Innanzitutto andrei a chiamare sul palco, un attimo che ci organizziamo la strategia, andrei a chiamare sul palco Sofia, che anche questa sera ci racconterà in parole chiave gli argomenti che abbiamo trattato e il viaggio che abbiamo fatto insieme. Quindi, Sofia, dammi un secondo, dovreste vedere lo schermo. Andiamo sulla giornata di oggi, così che ci fai il nostro consueto recap. A te il palco.
Allora, innanzitutto mi è piaciuta la tua introduzione perché hai parlato appunto di persone. Nelle giornate precedenti abbiamo parlato di biodiversità in senso stretto, però appunto anche noi siamo diversità e quindi le persone, grazie alla loro diversità, fanno comunità attraverso l'attivismo locale sul territorio. E questo nasce soprattutto purtroppo, come ha detto Giulia, dal panico ambientale cosiddetto, ma bisogna essere consapevoli che siamo sicuramente il problema, ma anche il cambiamento in senso positivo. Possiamo ancora intervenire e anzi dobbiamo assolutamente farlo. Perché? Perché siamo intimamente legati a vicenda con la natura, con appunto la biodiversità. Quindi coesistiamo. E questo appunto grazie alla varietà anche delle nostre esperienze, perché appunto ognuno degli speaker oggi ha parlato della propria esperienza e di come ha percepito le situazioni circostanti. Giulia si è appassionata ai lupi, chi invece si è appassionato proprio al mare, chi a livello più globale, diciamo, delle situazioni legate alla biodiversità. E quindi la passione lega poi all'esperienza le azioni. E quindi entriamo proprio nel clou della giornata, in cui abbiamo parlato molto spesso di piccole attività appunto locali che possono creare un impatto globale, come abbiamo sentito negli ultimi anni. E questo lo possiamo fare, come ci è stato suggerito, dal semplicemente raccontare una storia, fotografare, avvicinare il pubblico in un qualsiasi modo a questi temi, perché è proprio attraverso anche la curiosità che possiamo tramandare, ecco, le notizie, le informazioni e quindi sensibilizzare anche. Quindi appunto il comune denominatore sicuramente è proteggere la natura, perché noi appunto coesistiamo con essa e quindi dobbiamo mobilitarci, creare dialoghi, cooperazioni, quindi allargare dal locale al globale, viaggiando, scoprire anche se stessi, perché poi è questo che ci unisce, no? L'empatia delle esperienze, la curiosità, il meravigliarsi. E quindi mi è piaciuto che appunto siamo partiti dal piccolo, quindi dal micro, siamo andati al macro, parlando appunto di come i giovani possono effettivamente approcciare nella politica a livello globale, quindi con una partnership, con delle partnership globali esistenti. Quindi questa realtà esiste, possiamo contribuire e quindi applicare i nostri valori, che non sono solo nostri, ma abbiamo visto sono di tutti. Quindi ecco, mi piaceva questa conclusione sui valori intimi che sono appunto globali.
Grazie mille Sofia, grazie mille per il tuo recap che al nostro pubblico piace moltissimo e quindi veramente grazie. Anche Sofia è un partner, se vogliamo, del nostro festival, perché anche lei si occupa di divulgazione appunto nel suo piccolo locale e poi la potete trovare su Instagram con il tag La Scelta Verde, che magari mettiamo anche nelle chat, Sofia, ok? Grazie ancora. E io intanto, per concludere, vi ricordo che sui nostri canali social, in particolare su Instagram, trovate un sacco di altri contenuti e tutte le informazioni sempre aggiornate sul festival e sugli speaker, gli ospiti che solcano il nostro palco virtuale. Con questo io vado a interrompere la condivisione dello schermo e chiedo a tutte le persone che sono rimaste con noi dentro Zoom se possiamo accendere la videocamera e vado anche a salutare la stanza in presenza, quindi il campus di Forlì e il Green Office che ha appunto gestito e coordinato la connessione dalla stanza in presenza. Ok, intanto che si accende tutto, vi ricordo che il prossimo appuntamento sarà questa domenica 22 maggio alle 6:15, appena prima del solito, per celebrare insieme la biodiversità durante la giornata internazionale della biodiversità, il punto proprio dove vogliamo arrivare con il nostro festival. Abbiamo scoperto un sacco di cose in questo viaggio. Cos'è la biodiversità? Perché è importante? Come ci interfacciamo con lei? Quali sono i problemi dell'oggi negli ambienti urbani, nelle coste, negli oceani, nei mari e quali soluzioni possiamo applicare. Il 22 festeggeremo, celebreremo e veramente, mi piace dirlo e qua lo ribadisco, immagineremo un futuro in armonia con la natura insieme. Ospiti di grande livello, imperdibili, seguiteci e ci vediamo il 22. Non so se la stanza fisica ha possibilità di accendere la videocamera per salutarci, ma credo che in realtà forse hanno dovuto chiudere la stanza e rivedo tornare Giacomo, quindi con questa schermata io farei un grande saluto al nostro pubblico, ci rivediamo domenica, mi raccomando, e grazie per averci seguiti. Stay biodiversi, come sempre, ciao!